Laura, la levantaron, la tienen secuestrada.
Sí entiende que esto se puede poner feo.
Necesito que me ayude. Me están pasando muchas cosas.
¿Usted cree que todavía esté viva?
Have you ever wondered how far someone would go to find justice for a loved one? Members of a criminal gang kidnapped and killed Karen, Miriam Rodriguez's 20-year-old daughter, in 2014. With no help from the authorities, Miriam took matters into her own hands. For the next few years, she worked tirelessly as a one-woman detective team, tracking down, hunting, and arresting her daughter's killers. Miriam used disguises, changed her appearance, used fake names and identities, and even impersonated political figures, all in the name of justice for her daughter. By the end of her fearless pursuit, she had notorious gang members literally running for the hills when she came for them. People called her the Angel of Justice, and she truly lived up to that title. Miriam's courageous story shows how powerful a mother's love truly is. For Miriam, there was no limit to how far she would go to find justice. This is the story of Miriam Rodriguez, a mother who stopped at nothing to bring her daughter's killers to justice. So let's start from the beginning. In 2014, the city of San Fernando in Tamaulipas, Mexico, was known for its thriving agricultural, chemical, and oil sectors. However, it had also become a hotspot for cartel violence and organized crime. Reflecting the seriousness of the situation, the US State Department issued a stern travel warning for the region, stating, "Do not travel due to crime and kidnapping. Criminal factions frequently target both public and private vehicles, abducting passengers to demand ransoms. The innocent people living in that area had tragically dealt with such violence for many years. Citizens could even purchase special insurance to compensate the criminal gangs for kidnappings of their loved ones. 60,000 residents of San Fernando reside along a major trafficking route. Just outside the city are several highways leading to border crossings with the United States, making it an ideal location for traffickers. Regrettably, the majority of the community had either experienced the violence of the gangs themselves or knew someone who had. Shootouts were common occurrences, leaving many restaurants, shops, and outdoor areas deserted. Entire blocks of homes sat abandoned. In 2014, at the center of much of this violence was a criminal organization known as the Zetas. The Zetas, initially an armed wing of the Gulf Cartel, had waged a brutal war against their former bosses for years. People regarded the Zetas as one of the most ruthless gangs in history. They would often abduct individuals in broad daylight and then extort money from their families and loved ones. After paying the ransom, the victims would sometimes return, but many times they faced a much darker fate. These criminal organizations showed no regard for human life whatsoever. The safety concerns in the area escalated greatly in 2010, when federal authorities discovered a mass grave containing the remains of 72 Central American migrants at a ranch on the outskirts of San Fernando. At the time, this was considered one of the most brutal killings ever carried out by a criminal cartel. From there, the violence only intensified, with more attacks and abductions occurring. Miriam Rodriguez Martinez was among those in turmoil. In 2014, Miriam, in her 50s, resided in San Fernando and operated a small shop, Rodeo Boots, specializing in cowboy apparel. She had 3 children, including a 20-year-old daughter named Karen, who worked alongside her mother at the shop. Despite many other businesses closing due to the rampant crime, Rodeo Boots remarkably remained open to the public, a testament to Miriam and Karen's resilience. The kidnappings, Karen was also a student while she worked at the shop. As one can imagine, many residents witnessed the violence firsthand and made the choice to flee San Fernando. However, others, such as Miriam and her family, chose to remain in San Fernando, having established their lives there and refusing to leave due to the crimes of others. Miriam was born and raised in San Fernando, had her business there, and had reasons to remain despite having recently separated from her husband. She was simply trying to support herself and her children. On January 23rd, while Karen was driving, 2 trucks suddenly pulled up on either side of her vehicle, entrapping her. Armed men then forced their way into her truck and drove off with Karen inside. After abducting Karen, the kidnappers drove her to the Rodriguez family home, where she lived. Miriam, who also worked as a nanny in Texas, was away that day. They brought Karen inside, bound and gagged her, and left her lying on the living room floor. Then there was an unexpected knock at the door. door, it was the family's uncle's mechanic who had arrived to work on their truck, unaware of the situation unfolding inside. The kidnappers panicked when the mechanic kept knocking, so they opened the door, grabbed him as well, and fled the scene with both Karen and the mechanic to an unknown location. In the days following Karen's abduction, Miriam's life became a blur of calls and threats, demanding ransom payments for Karen's return. Miriam and her family had to take out a loan from a bank that offered lines of credit for such situations to pay the first demanded ransom. Knowing that if they complied, they could potentially return Karen alive, they meticulously followed each instruction. The kidnappers ordered them to leave the ransom money at a certain location in town, then go to a nearby cemetery to pick up Karen. This exchange gave the family hope that it would be over, and they would get Karen back. Karen's father dropped off a bag of cash near a local health clinic on the day of the exchange, as instructed, and immediately drove to the cemetery to await Karen's return. But he waited in vain, as no one showed up with Karen. Their hopes were shattered. During another ransom call, Miriam asked to meet one of the cartel members at a local restaurant. To her surprise, a young man with a clean-shaven face and a slender build showed up to meet her there. Miriam pleaded with the young man, begging him to return her daughter. He claimed his gang wasn't responsible for Karen's kidnapping, but offered to try finding her for a fee of 2,000 pesos, which Miriam agreed to pay. During their meeting, she overheard a muffled conversation on the man's walkie-talkie, where someone called him Sama. After paying Sama, he promised to update Miriam but stopped answering her calls within a week. Meanwhile, numerous cartel members contacted the family, each claiming to have kidnapped Karen and demanding ransom. Though doubtful, the family paid, hoping it would lead to Karen's safe return. But days and weeks passed with no sign of her. The endless cycle of hope and disappointment dismantled the grieving process. With no closure, Miriam eventually realized Karen was likely dead. She vowed to her daughter Azalea that she wouldn't rest until she brought every person responsible to justice. Miriam's hope transformed into a fierce, fearless determination to bring those responsible for her daughter's probable murder to justice. No matter how long it took, her mother's love proved to be one of the most powerful driving forces. Initially, she desired to collaborate with the authorities, but the cartels corrupted many, leaving the few honest ones underpaid, overworked, and overwhelmed by the violence. Getting official help seemed impossible. Miriam decided to take matters into her own hands. Aided by a secret witness, the mechanic who was kidnapped alongside Karen but released the same day, he provided crucial details about the kidnappers and confirmed that Sama, the young man Miriam paid to find Karen, was actually one of her daughter's abductors. Miriam found a photo of Sama with a woman in an ice cream shop uniform. She identified the shop's location 2 hours away and began staking it out for weeks, memorizing the woman's schedule until Sama appeared one day. Miriam tailed them to their home address, gathering key information. However, she knew convincing authorities to investigate Sama would be an uphill battle without more evidence. So Miriam decided to go undercover to discover more information. Miriam went undercover, posing as a health official in Sama's neighborhood. Wearing an old uniform, dyeing her hair, and using a fake ID, she canvassed the area under the guise of a local poll, discreetly gathering intel on Sama and his household. Through this undercover work, Miriam finally obtained Sama's full name. Feeling she had enough information, she contacted authorities, but many dismissed her. However, one impressed federal police officer joined the case, acknowledging Miriam's incredible solo investigation. He obtained an arrest warrant for Sama, who then disappeared after likely catching wind of it. Undeterred, Miriam utilized this time to comb through Sama's social media, identifying other cartel members involved in her daughter's kidnapping, determined to bring them all to justice. Then, on September 15th, 2014, Miriam received an unexpected call from her son, Louis. That same day, Miriam's son Louis spotted Sama browsing at the hat store where he worked and alerted the police and his mother. Unbelievably, the perpetrator had entered the store directly associated with his victim's family. Interrogating Sama led to the arrest of another kidnapper, 18-year-old Christian Gonzalez. During questioning, the scared teenager demanded to see his mum and complained about being hungry. In an astonishing act of compassion, Miriam, despite Christian's role in her daughter's murder, brought him fried chicken and a soda, saying, "He's still a child, and I am still a mother." Touched by her kindness, Christian cooperated fully, offering to take them to the murder and burial site. The group then traveled to an abandoned ranch down a remote dirt path where Christian revealed the horrific details. Among the items, Miriam recognized Karen's scarf and truck seat cushion. Initially informed that her her daughter's remains were not present, Miriam persevered for more than a year until forensics confirmed the discovery of a part of Karen's femur bone, enabling her to finally lay her daughter to rest. However, Miriam's pursuit was far from over. Driving home from the burial site, Miriam passed a barbecue restaurant where years earlier she had an unsettling encounter with Elvia Betancourt, a woman Miriam had once helped as an abandoned child. When Miriam asked if Elvia knew anything about Karen's kidnapping, she sensed Elvia was lying. Now, a realization struck Miriam. Elvia may have been monitoring the ranch, implicated in the crimes. Enraged at Elvia's perceived betrayal after the kindness Miriam had shown her, and realizing Elvia was dating one of the imprisoned kidnappers, Miriam staked out the jail for weeks until Elvia visited. She then alerted authorities, leading to Elvia's arrest. Further investigation revealed the unthinkable. She also revealed that some of the ransom calls extorting Miriam's family had come from Elvia's home. Not only did she likely know what happened to Karen, but she also profited from the family's suffering after Miriam's past generosity and utterly heartless betrayal. Undeterred, Miriam's relentless mission continued. Over the next couple of years, she methodically tracked down each kidnapper, some in prison, some dead, but many hiding in plain sight as taxi drivers, converts, or delivery workers. One by one, Miriam pursued those involved and brought them to justice, her mother's determination proving unstoppable. To gain intel, Miriam utilized various disguises, hair colors, and fake identities to insert herself into the lives of the kidnappers' families. Counselors, friends, anyone who could provide information, no matter how small. Meticulously documenting every detail in her satchel, she learned their habits, schedules, hometowns, and backgrounds, strategically closing in like a warrior. Amidst her investigations, Miriam also founded the Vanished Collective to support families of cartel kidnapping victims, offering the guidance she lacked. This network of hundreds worked together to locate their missing loved ones. As the years passed, Miriam's tenacity only intensified. When tracking the kidnappers became more difficult, she persisted relentlessly, never accepting rejection. Authorities repeatedly shut doors in her face, frustrated that this one woman outperformed entire male-dominated task forces. With her blunt determination to bring the perpetrators to justice at any cost, Miriam's relentless pursuit disrupted the established order in Mexico. Authorities disregarded her requests for increased protection, despite the danger she faced from cartels seeking retaliation for imprisoning their members. Officials claimed to provide occasional patrol, car drive-bys near her home, but largely left Miriam unprotected with a target on her back. When she received a tip about one target working as a flower seller near the US border, Miriam confronted him. When he recognized the 56-year-old woman who was hunting him, the notorious cartel criminal fled in fear. Miriam gave chase, apprehending him at gunpoint for police after warning she'd shoot if he moved. The angel of justice once again prevailing. Despite needing a cast and crutches to pursue her final target due to a broken foot, Miriam's determination remained unwavering until the arrest of the young woman. Tragedy struck the Rodriguez family again when, in March 2017, nearly 24 prisoners escaped from the same prison, holding many of the killers Miriam helped apprehend. Tragedy struck the Rodriguez family again. A few weeks later, the escapees gunned down Miriam outside her home on Mother's Day 2017, shortly after they had captured their final target. They found her face down in the street, her hand near her pistol in her purse. A heartbreaking attack on a day of celebration for mothers. Miriam's murder sent shockwaves through the community, with officials vowing to bring her killers to justice. Despite only 2 arrests, Miriam's 3-year pursuit remarkably captured nearly every living member involved in Karen's case, ultimately leading to the arrest of 10 people in total. The city honored her bravery by burying her next to Karen. Miriam's story tragically reflected systemic injustices in San Fernando, forcing a grieving mother to investigate alone and ultimately leading to her murder. In the heartbreaking aftermath of a profound tragedy, Miriam's unwavering strength resonated like a shockwave through her community. She was a disruptive force, challenging the systemic disregard for human life with an unwavering moral compass. In the face of unimaginable grief, Miriam could have succumbed to a vengeful path, an eye for an eye mentality, seeking retribution against those who robbed her of her daughter's life. But instead, she chose a higher road, dedicating every waking moment to the pursuit of justice, an unstoppable force that left an indelible mark on Mexico. Miriam's story echoes the themes of the Taken films, with one profound difference. This was not a a Hollywood script, but a harrowing reality she lived and fought through. In her own words, Miriam declared, "I don't care if they kill me. The day they killed my daughter, I died. I want to end this. I will eliminate those who have harmed my daughter, and they are free to do with me as they please." Her fearlessness and activism left an indelible mark on a nation still grappling with the scourge of cartel violence, kidnappings, and murders that continue to plague its streets. Miriam Rodriguez stands as a beacon of inspiration, a hero whose bravery, protective love, and unwavering determination for her child etched her name in the annals of history. In a world that often feels bleak, her story reminds us of the extraordinary power of a mother's love and the profound impact one person's courage can have on the world. With Miriam, the world was truly a better place. Keep Miriam's fight alive. Subscribe, like, and share to spread her story of unwavering justice.